Hello, it's October 8th, 2025, and we're here in Lawton, Michigan, in what are probably the last couple hours of the growing season. And I say that because we are almost certainly going to get a frost tonight, at least at this garden. Maybe not a widespread hard frost over the whole area, but this garden is particularly frost prone and seems to get all the early and late frosts. So we just nearly escaped a frost about a month ago. We got down into the mid 30s or flirted with frost, but now we're probably going to get it for real. So I just wanted to go through and show a few things. There's not a lot to show really. Most of the harvesting is long gone, and most things are well past prime. Flowering wise, there's not much going on. I do have a couple, well, in my other yard next door I've got a lot of New England asters going. In this garden, the deer have eaten all those pretty much down to nubs, so there's really no flowering to speak of on those over here. There used to be a lot of it. Here's a little sad specimen. About 5 years ago, I had an ocean of it in this garden. It was really nice, but the deer got clued into it, and now it's gone, and it probably will pretty much disappear. Now, up until a day or two ago, I had a bunch of fruit still on this amber autumn olive, but it looks like it's all dropped off now. I bet you it's on the ground. Those are pretty good fruits. They were getting a little mushy. Let's see if we can find one. Here's one. That's they look like. They're pretty good sized. Bigger than maybe your average autumn olive, and flavor wise, they're a little bland. Now, I had a tour of people come through. I've only led about 3 or so walks through the garden this year, and none of them were very well advertised or big groups. The biggest group was a group of, I think, 10 who came from the Michigan Nut and Fruit Growers group. We had our fall meeting of that group over in Lawrence, Michigan. So I invited some folks who, traveled from quite far in some cases to stop over and see my garden if they wanted to, because we don't have events over in this area very often. And eventually I would like to host the group here. I don't have the best infrastructure for parking or facilities and things like that, but I think we could figure something out, maybe carpool people from somewhere. So here inside this fence, there's a little bit of New England aster that's hanging on. But overall, the trees have been shedding leaves for a month. Between the drought and then just kind of early onset of fall. Cool temperatures. It was dry and it was quite hot for a while, and then it got cool and hot again. So now it's getting cool again. And we can kind of see what this bed amounted to, which is not very much. I have a few little gummy plants in here that they struggled to reach 6 inches, maybe 3-4 inches on a lot of them. I have a couple of elderberries that survived. I think I've got a cutting here of a currant from my friend Michael, but not a lot going in the propagation business here this year. And I have to decide where I want to go. Got some little air potatoes there. Oh, they came off my hand. These hang on for a little while, and you can eat these boiled or whatever. Pretty good little vegetable. So this grapevine had a few fox grapes on it. Sorry for the sunlight here. I wanted to show this elderberry. I thought it was dead. I put a cage around it, and then it died. So I had kind of written it off, but then it sent up a new sprout. This is the Hochberg European elderberry, which is not nearly as vigorous as the American ones are. So I'm glad to see that it didn't totally die. I've got a couple little cuttings of it going in my other garden next door, but they're hardly up and running yet, so good to have it back up. So here the flame willow has a couple sprouts that escaped, maybe got past deer browse. The Chinese tune, that's how much it grew this year, pretty similar to previous years. This whole garden here, I may want to fence it off, give it a perimeter fence, and take a little better care of it so I don't have to try to do all these individual cages. Then maybe I could have this be kind of a repository of things that deer eat, because I don't necessarily want my whole vegetable gardens taken up with that stuff, which is kind of what's going on right now. My gardens next door have bunches of elderberries and currants and things that I really don't need to have over there, but you know, that's where they are because otherwise they get decimated over here. Nanny berries, prime for the picking right now. You know, the sum of everything that's on this tree here, which is probably a 14 or 15-year-old bush, you know, might make a cup full of paste or something, maybe, if I had to guess. Not very much. So over there, I guess I'll do a quick walkthrough and show. I had pawpaws on 2 trees this year, which was very exciting. Last year I had a fake out. I had one tree that had 2 fruits, and a critter, probably a possum or a raccoon, got them before I could get to them. But this year I had enough that I even got to have some myself. So this tree here was the one. It had 2 last year and about 6 or so this year, and this had ambrosia beetle damage. I've got to start thinning out the understory here because we got lots of root sprouting going on. And the same deal over here. Now this bigger one sent off these suckers, and I've grafted 1 or 2 of these. I really need to look at my records and see what's grafted with what. And I also need to thin out some of the overstory. So this catalpa is pretty much a sacrificial thing. This doesn't need to be here. The sassafras are definitely sacrificial. I like sassafras, but don't necessarily need them. I'd rather have pawpaws. And then this tree here, that excellent tree, also had, that probably had about 8 fruits on it. So that was maybe 8 or 10. Very exciting. The timing worked out so that when the nut growers group was here, people could go over there and shake the tree and get a pawpaw to take home. And flavor-wise, that one was pretty good. It maybe wasn't quite as good as the one that had fewer, but it was quite good, and the size was decent. Now this plant, I just saw it recently. Someone called it rabbit tobacco or something, which I'd never heard that common name for it. But anyway, it's a neat plant, and it kind of smells nice, like fenugreek, and somebody said maple syrup, which I guess I can kind of see that too. It's got kind of an interesting sweet smell to it. So over here, I'm not going to walk through that jungle right now. I'm going to do a pretty quick tour today. This grafted gumi onto autumnalve, I'm hoping that might fruit next year. I've got a few that were done, I think 2 years ago, possibly 3 years ago, probably 2. So maybe in their 3rd year, they will bear. None of the ones I've grafted have had fruits yet. So hopefully next year, we'll see. Gotta have patience when you're forest gardening. So we're gonna walk over here. Here's a little graft that didn't grow too well. And then there's one over here that did grow pretty well. It's in the cage. It's got two sticks grafted onto that one. So over here, had no grapes this year, 0, except for those wild fox grapes. None of my cultivar grapes, most of them don't even so look alive, but the one that normally had all the fruit, which I called Vigoro because of its vigor, it did not have anything this year. It had like a disease problem. And what I want to show here, I've got these big fluffy chestnut burrs, kind of egg-shaped or cone-shaped bazonkers, and they're kind of late in opening. I'm not sure about this one yet. This is the first year that this tree has had nuts on it, and seems like it's a little on the late side. You know, we'll see how it falls with the frosts from year to year, but if it turns out to be a chronically late bearer, or with nuts that don't open until way late and get frosted and ruined, then we may want to either cut that one down or graft it over to something that's more reliable in our growing degree days here. Here's some interesting healing over of cut off branches. Looks kind of like a butthole there. This is a wild crabapple tree that I grafted a couple varieties onto. Both of these branches are different varieties. It's got a horrible growth form. But anyway, this one might have done the same if it had taken, but it didn't really take. So the staghorn sumacs are looking quite pretty now. They've got a lot of color variation, kind of a rainbow thing going on, whereas the winged sumacs are less colorful. They're more just like solid red, pink to red back here. I pretty much missed the boat on hazelnut harvest. I did not really harvest any hazelnuts this year. Again, second year in a row. I meant to, but sort of time just kind of got away from me and didn't make it a priority. So there's one chestnut there that's grown up above the deer. Now they can still rub it with their antlers, but browsing wise, it's got, or maybe there's two in a row there that are above, which is exciting after almost a decade or something. And what do we got here? We've got a thicket of sumacs. Now I'm going a little different way today, which is good. I like to change it up a little bit. And I have not been over here today, but I wanted to show, this is probably the most interesting thing in the whole property to look at right now, is this chinkapin chestnut. So these things are opening now, and yeah, the tree's loaded with them. It's a small tree. It's probably 20 feet tall so far. Let's see, you can find a decent sized one. This one is not very good size. I think they're a little smaller than overall this year than they were in some other years because of the drought. Now, not all of them are that small, but some of them are splitting in their shells. Sorry for the neighbor mowing. I wish I was doing this at a different time, but unfortunately. Now let's get up on the ladder here and see sort of what these look like. And again, these are not huge this year. A lot of them are smaller than they have been historically. But yeah, these two, a little on the small side. I'd expect them to be about 1.3 times the size, or maybe just a bigger, rounder diameter. But I think these would still be, and some of them are just little runty things like this that aren't even, and there's probably nothing in there. So these are probably still viable as seeds, I would think. And this swamp white oak here, it had some acorns on it this year. I have not really been looking for them. And this chinkapin here had a lot of duds on it because the pollination doesn't always quite work out with these two trees. So this one pollinates the other one, but not so much vice versa. So yeah, most of these are little runts. That one there is like almost big enough. I'm sure the blue jays have been visiting a lot. There's probably one up there in the timber chestnut tree, pissed off because yeah, it's a blue jay. He's like, get out of my grove here, dude. Okay, so this timber chestnut tree is finished. It had its last nuts a few days ago. Now all you're going to find pretty much is empty burrs. And since there's probably none on the ground, I can't really show you the size of them, but they're not huge, pretty small nuts, especially for people who grow, you know, like commercial grade chestnuts. These are more like the American chestnut in size. And I want to go over here and look at these so-called Seguin chestnuts, which are not Seguin chestnuts. They're not Seguini. I figured I might find one or two. Now this is a pretty small one too. I want to show you the tree form here in a minute. Sorry for not looking at the camera and seeing what I'm actually filming. These are on, you know, everything's a little on the small side this year because of the drought we had for the whole latter part of the summer. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time hunting over the ground to find a few more little nuts. There's not that many on the tree to begin with. But I'll show you the tree form. Here, these are, like I say, not the best specimens. I'd say they were at least 1.5 times that size in other years. So this is the tree here. It's got some blight on it. Now there's 4 of these trees in a row, and only 2 of them seem to have ever had any nuts on them. Now this one's got some nasty blight going on there, and mushrooms and everything. Got the whole 9 yards. But I think, yeah, this whole trunk should come off. But this one, it's still producing a little bit. It's got a few nuts on it. It's got a few burrs. Now that one, I think usually looks like it has chlorosis or some kind of leaf problems. And yeah, you see there's maybe just a few burrs up here, not a whole lot. I probably could shake the tree and get a few more down, but it's never been a big yield on these things. And so there's a double trunked one there, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, these are they're a hybrid of the Seguin chestnut and probably Chinese chestnut. They don't have much of the Seguin characteristics. I think the Seguins are known for having an extended bloom period throughout the whole growing season, so they'll keep making a succession of blooms and nuts. In China, where they have probably a way longer growing season, is where they're native, and so it's an interesting species. Here's another look at this chinkapin again that we saw a minute ago. Pretty well loaded down. The branches bend over with the weight. And yeah, nothing much to see here. Got some pecans leaning here, pecan. Got some wild cherries and some honey locust in the overstory. I like that I'm getting some cool moss in my ground, or my paths here. It's kind of a nice little ground cover. So we did have a little bit of rain this last week, which was a very welcome event because it was getting pretty dry. Now, a week or week and a half ago, we had 2 inches of rain over a day or two, which was great. Nice fall sunlight, low angle sunlight here. So that was very welcomed. And then this other wrench we had was good. I'm very happy for it, but it's kind of a too little, too late thing for most crops to really care. But it's good to have a little more moisture back in the soil. And so, yeah, the little blue stem is going apeshit here with all the seed heads. And just kind of take a look at how things look back the other way. Kind of a nice little inviting path there. So we'll walk back here, loop through the oaks. Oh, I don't know if I think I did show these last time. This is an oak that's got nuts on it or acorns for the first time this year. Maybe they've all fallen off already. Well, they get pretty dark. That one's not mature yet, but they get like almost black color. They're very, very dark when they are ripe. Maybe the wildlife's already had the better part of them, and the ground cover is in no condition to go rooting around for them. So in future years, I'll probably start to manage the ground cover layer a lot more under things that I'm harvesting, especially persimmons, pawpaws, nut trees, you know, chestnuts, oaks, nice bur oak there. So that, you know, it's easy to see what's falling, collect it without getting your hands all torn up by dewberries, etc. So, kind of pan around here. I think this oak, no nuts, no acorns on that one. That one's got a pretty nice stout form. This one looks pretty good here too. Like the looks of that, nice and straight. These are open grown. They've got about a good 40-foot spacing here, I think, so they should have pretty good growth forms. So this one's a little weirdly angled and it's kind of asymmetrical. And this one is the Bergamble. Pretty good sized acorns on these. And there's one that's totally dark up there. There's one that's kind of a nice milky brown. But yeah, this one was the first to bear out of all of the ones I planted. Fairly precocious. It probably was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old maybe when it started bearing a few. So no word from the power company yet about maintenance under their lines. I did go through and cut down a bunch of weedy tree species that were in the hedgerow here. Move those to kind of make it look better and, you know, less danger of anything growing up into the way of the wires. Here's the persimmon area. The lighting is pretty right now. There's a few grafted persimmons, hopefully, that are surviving that I've grafted over the last couple of years. I don't think I grafted any this year. I ordered cyanwood and I wasted it. Just didn't have time, didn't get around to it. So the persimmons, many still to graft. Looking forward to doing that. Looking forward to getting a bunch of cultivars going here under my care. And yeah, once more of these start producing, you know, maybe as soon as next year, I'm going to start managing this ground cover a lot more. Maybe start mowing it's going to be difficult because I've put all kinds of logs and woody debris around this area for the last, I don't know, 5 years or more. So I've got like stumps and things here. I may just, well, we'll see in the spring, maybe when things flatten out a bit, how things look. I could add wood chips in to sort of fill and make up space and level the ground out a little bit. But it's going to become a maintenance issue too, because there's so many of these that are now starting to sucker that it's going to be hard to tell what's the original tree and what's the sucker. And it really may not even matter that much, as long as I know which ones are grafted or producing. And I'll have to probably thin these out to one every, I don't know, 10 feet or so. I don't think I should get too much closer than that, really. For best, and probably even wider spacing would be ideal for maximum production. I don't think persimmons really like a hell of a lot of shade, but we'll see. We'll kind of sort things out over time if I live long enough. So hazelnuts here didn't really produce. These black locusts here are growing up pretty straight. I've had a little suckering initiated, and one of them, I think the top snapped off in a windstorm once. Catalpa, some pawpaws. That's this one. That would be one to watch in a year or two. That may start having a few fruits at that size, maybe in a couple years, I would say. There's about 6 or 7 pawpaws here. And I've been nibbling some autumn olives as I go around. This one up here still got quite a load on it, but I feel like these are a late maturing one. They keep their astringency for a long time. And still a pretty heavy crop on here. But when I rub my fingers along the branch, see there's all these stems that are still on there. That's not a good sign. So if they come off from the stems easily, then they're usually pretty good, pretty fit to eat. But if the stems stay on there, that kind of tells me that they're not ready yet and not that good to eat. So anyway, where are we at? 22 minutes. That's pretty good. That's about half the time of a normal sleep-inducing garden walkthrough. But like I said, I didn't think there'd be a lot to show today. Just a few chestnuts mostly are the main focal point. Not a lot else producing this time of year and in this season because of the various problems, drought and late frosts, several late frosts in spring. Just neglect, me not being over here and doing much throughout the growing season. So with that, I will leave it. I may do one more. I think fall color wise, we're not, near the peak of fall color for most things. So maybe I'll do a fall color walk at some point if the colors look good. And, then it may be getting into winter videos, if any. So hope everything is good with everyone. And thanks for watching, and talk to you later. Bye.